your dreams trying to tell you something? Author M.B. Mosley teaches you how to decode your dreams and take hold of the manifestations that lay in wait for you in the waking realm. Now, broadcasting all over the world, it's the Dream Interpretation Podcast.
Hello there, Dream Zone Interpretation Tribe. You are now tuning into the Spiritual Sweet Spot Saturdays. Say that fast. I dare you, dare you, dare you. All right, guys, I'm so excited to introduce this session. It was impressed upon my heart because I felt that we are dealing with all things spiritual dream realm. So why not add little days like this? I don't know why the days have to be little, but why not add days like Saturday just to kind of get that refresher that will touch the center of our spirit. And I'm also excited to lead these sessions on Saturdays from a manuscript that I have had forever. You heard right, a manuscript. That's how much I love you guys. So. Welcome back, family. Zip, baby, zip, dream. The Dream Zone Interpretation Podcast Tribe, welcome back. Yesterday's a different day. It is not Saturday. However, today is a spiritual message, I should say, rather. So, and it's an urgent message. So rather than a dream interpretation today, we'll probably put one for the following Saturday. And so I wanted to give this urgent message because Spirit has been tugging at me. And as human as anyone else is, I was a little bit nervous. Like I didn't know how to present this matter to you all. But I felt like if I withhold this information, then I'm not doing anybody I'm doing people a disservice. Or I'm not honoring myself on this journey to true self. I'm not honoring myself, and then I'm doing a disservice to the public, right? And to you all that listen to this, and whom I am very appreciative of. Excuse me as I take a sip. Somebody's a little bit nervous. Because really it's not my style unless I've really been like this nudged to say a message, right? And so please allow me to speak on this. And first and foremost, I do hope that this podcast finds you and your family doing well. Peace and blessings to you and your family. All right. And welcome to the podcast. I am your host, author and sister friend, M.B. Mosley. So this message should have been delivered probably before the year ended. Okay, so forgive me for that. And the more I was being nudged by Spirit and I was not at peace, I was like, you know what, I'm growing as well. I'm growing, right? And one thing I should not do, which I always say, is not to judge the outcome. But I was like, well, this is a conscious community. I mean, they're woke, they know what's going on. But I was like, no. Because then the message just kept coming heavy and heavy and heavy on my heart, in my soul, in my mind, and consuming me. And I felt really guilty if I don't say anything. Okay, so I do apologize for making such an assumption. So this is going to be a quick video, a different video, an urgent message to all that have ears to hear this message. I love you guys so much, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. But like I say, the message should have been intended for before the year was over. But 2020 had just been such a crazy, crazy, crazy year, right? So I said, let's just start on a whole new fresh page. And I'll dabble this topic in February. But I was like, okay, waking up to it, going to sleep to it, So, okay. So you all, this is an urgent message. Okay, first and foremost, what I don't want to do is scare anyone, okay? I don't want to scare anyone. It's just a message, okay? I'm sharing a message. So most of you, maybe, perhaps, have had the time to see in the times in which we're living. And when I say to see, I'm not talking and referencing whether you believe seeing in the spiritual realm in your waking life, or believe in seeing in the spiritual realm in your sleeping life, in your sleeping realm, in your dream realm, or in your meditative state in your waking realm, right? These are different different times. I think every generation can always say that, right? Every generation can always say they always have a story of different times and so forth. But I wanted to really just give this plain, urgent message. Do not believe everything you see. Do not believe everything you see. Okay. There's been, okay, I almost want to share this, but I'll probably have to share that dream like at a later stage. I'm so sorry, guys. It's not a cliffhanger and I'm not trying to be funny, but I really have to offload this message right now. Okay. Do not believe everything that you see. There is an unforeseen battle, right? And I'm not trying to scare anyone, right? It's been ongoing, all right? And it's a moment that I am calling on all of you all that are conscious / aware, to those that practice meditation, those that practice prayer, to up your meditation, your prayer, your fasting life, and so forth, whatever it is that you practice for your spirituality. It is could be cliche to the game, right? The battle between good and evil. But it's been going on for a very long time. But there is something innately on the horizon. Okay. And the only thing I can say is do not believe everything you see. I spent most of my time in my circle of people always saying, I know this doesn't make sense, but listen, this is what I always say. Question everything with a question. Question everything with a question. Question everything with a question. There are systems in place in our lives that, first of all, pause. Remind me to come back to that. But let's talk about the system. First of all, this is the message the other day, right? What is belief? What is belief? What do you believe in? Right? Belief or believing in, belief is something that typically it's a conviction of the heart, mind, soul that I take upon, right? Some belief systems are placed in us from our environment. Some belief systems are gathered along the way from our experiences. Some belief systems are concepts of the societal environment versus your home environment and your growing up environment. Some belief systems are birthed from morals, right? And faith, right? And so understand this for a second. What if I told you that everything you have believed your whole entire life was a lie? Pause. And I'm not saying it is. It's just a question. I'm not saying it is. Please don't come after me. I'm not saying it is. Let me drink. I'm thirsty. I'm nervous. I'm not saying it is. But what if? Taking a deep breath. Breathe out. All right. So hear me out, right? When we look at belief being based on, when I say, let's say societal concepts, let's talk about that. Because I'm always reminded of when my husband proposed, right? He proposed, got so excited. Oh my gosh, LMG, I'm engaged. And then everyone's so happy for us. And what's the next question, right? When are you guys getting married, right? And so now I started to sit up there thinking, oh my gosh, wrote this big extensive list of the who's who of this small town, who's going to come and all those other stuff. And then after I saw the dollar amount, I was like, babe, we are just going to go get married. Okay. We could use this money for other ventures. Okay. And so and I'm not saying there's anything wrong. Listen, you all know me by now. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like big, fancy, wonderful weddings, right? That's just like me. I'm just a whole different breed. And so, but I'm trying to demonstrate societal concepts that become beliefs to us, belief systems. And so usually you're like, oh my gosh, I'm engaged. And then people are like, oh my gosh, when's the wedding? And you're like, oh my gosh, a year from now. And then a wedding is done, right? And then you get married. And then after that, it's like, oh my gosh, everyone wants to know what's the next thing? What's the next thing everyone wants to know after you get married? Be honest. Oh my gosh, and you guys gonna have children, right? It's never enough. And it is like, oh my gosh, we had a child, and then after you have like one child, then they're like, oh my gosh, when are you gonna have another child, right? And then it just keeps snowballing, right? And there's nothing wrong because these have been concepts and beliefs that most of us have grown up in, right? Even as young little girls, even though it's like a weird one, like I've always said, that's why I didn't do the white wedding, because I was like, scratch that. And, but I've met amazing women that was like, I always knew it ever since I was like 5, that I was going to be a mother and I was going to have this big white wedding, which is pretty cool, right? So because this is what we've been societally seeing, right? And it's a concept. And, most, times it's because your parents too, they went through that too. They got engaged, married, and weddings and children and da-da-da-da. So the hardest part about life is change. Mm-hmm. Breaking what we thought was, and understand that was just an example. We're not talking about marriage right now, but it was just an example. I had another example. Okay, so so that was like a societal concept of belief, right? But in actuality, and I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to offend anybody's religious background or moral belief. I'm not. I'm just giving examples here because, for example, what if I grew up and I just didn't want to get married and probably just wanted to be with my partner, my husband or partner, I guess, and just don't want to have kids. What if that's my thing, but what we fear off sometimes in society, because it's become such a big societal belief. I know nowadays, as the millennials, I am one too, and Generation Z is coming up, it's taking people some years to get married. It took me forever. I was like, married, what? It almost feels like if we don't, once again, listen, almost feels, I'm not saying it is, but point being, it almost feels like if we don't conform to societal beliefs and concepts, then there's something wrong with us, right? If I chose not to get married and just live with my husband, live with him as a partner and chose not to have children, which is decisions that people are making these days, But what I'm saying is that's kind of going against the grain of what society, majority of society believes in. Does that make me less of a person, or does that make me less of a human being? A human being? No, it doesn't. Right? And that's the point and emphasis of today's conversation, really being honest with ourselves on why we believe in what we believe and what made us believe in what we believe and what is my belief. And is it a conviction belief? Is it a moral belief, an ethical belief, an integral belief? What is this? What is the root of this belief? And once again, in this podcast, I'm not coming against anyone's belief systems. I love you all so much. I could care less if people believe in whatever they believe. And as long as you, the individual, at the end of that belief, is happy in life. So therefore, today we're changing gears, right? Moving this car a little bit forward, understanding about why belief systems were placed in place. Do they change us? Do they change who we are as a species? If you decide to go against the grain from what environment and societal beliefs have portrayed all these years, or for what your family belief has been, or for what, I don't know, I believe in that beliefs could be tweaked, modified, edited, so forth, right? But we stand strong in our convictions of our morals, right? Our ethics, right? Integrity, right? But what I also want to highlight is making sure that some of these beliefs that become convictions do not end up putting us in the tipping point. Because remember one thing, in this whole entire universe, there are wars against religion because of people's fundamental convictions to their belief. Hear me again. People's convictions. People's convictions to their beliefs. Does that make them wrong people? No. I'm not here to say wrong or right, but I just want you to grasp the concept of the power of a belief in its conviction and standing in a belief system that is heavily convicted to the point that you radicalize yourself. And I'm not talking about one point or one religion, because I have seen them all. It's not about Muslims. No, I've seen hardcore Christians, radical Christians. Yes, y'all not going to like this. I've seen radical Christians in what they would call self-righteous Christians. So I've seen radicalists in each piece of religious sector. Are you all wrong in your beliefs and your convictions? No, I'm just heeding to my conscious community that are listening to this, that at some time and point in life in this evolution, we step back a little bit and look at our convictions and beliefs and see where they serve us. Okay? So that we don't fall in the guise of doing anything in the name of a religion, because that conviction has become tainted in us, and we never seize the moment to question some of that. Where we're like, wait a minute. If I'm going to do this in the name of whatever source you want to do it in the name of, and understand I'm talking about all religions, not just one, because they're radicals everywhere. I've seen them, right? And look at YouTube videos, and I've been around some. But if I'm going to do this in the name of so and so and so and so, then at that point in time, does it go against your moral ethics? Does it go against your integrity, your compass? Question that, right? Like in Christianity, it'll be called self-righteousness or so forth, right? Look, let's not even go that far. Look at the ancient book of wisdom. Ancient book of wisdom, right? Ancient book of wisdom, for those that are new to my channel, is the Bible, right? Let's look at that information, because that's the information I know. Some of the information I know, I should say. So I can't really speak about other religions and their books because I'm not versed to them, and that's the only reason why I bring this example up. But for the things that I have known of the ancient book of wisdom is like how in that book they portray the prophet that's out here walking, spreading love as a person that's not of them. And I believe in the ancient book of wisdom, they're depicted as the rabbis. And I'm not trying to offend anyone's religion. I'm just saying what the ancient book of wisdom says about at the point in time where his path, the prophet that came down to spread the love, the gospel of love, was accused by people that practiced what? Religion. So to me, in my mind, it's always been, how come it was two different things? They according to the ancient book of wisdom, they persecuted this guy for the same thing they believed in, but theirs was a better religion. Do you understand where I'm going? I'm not coming against any religion or any spirituality or any of your belief. I am not. I'm just heeding to the fact of an example that if, as a human species, we're not too careful to check our moral compass on what is our belief conviction, then sometimes we can get to the tipping point and go far. But my point being is, we are being more flexible in our thinking patterns, right? As the systems turn, we're being more flexible in our thinking, right? And so belief, back to belief. So that's an example of societal concept belief. And the wedding stuff, right? Look, as one that didn't care for a big fancy white wedding, we just went to the church and did our thing. But I won't lie to you, right? Watching, Bridezilla or reality shows on people getting married, that's exciting. It's oh my gosh, that'll be so cool. And then in my mind, I'm the headache of it all. But I'm that'll be so cool. That's so awesome. I love that dress. Or say yes to the dress and all these other things, right? What we see is further validated, right? What we see where? On television. All right. So, and magazines. All right. So we're being validated by society of which path we should go, right? And so let's talk about beliefs. We've talked about societal concepts of beliefs. We getting a white wedding, married because that's what people do, And once again, understand I'm not here to offend anyone. Hey, I'm all for whatever makes anyone happy. I'm just giving examples of like some of the things that we as human beings have grown up on in our beliefs, and the marriage part too, the white weddings and so forth could also be a moral belief, right? If you are Christian or a certain faith, so that could be part of it too, right? We decide to follow different religions and or be attuned to different spirituality, whatever you call it. We all belong to one consciousness, right? One known as God, Tao, Prime, Priya, is so many different names, but it's one consciousness. However, so whichever you decide to practice, that's fine. But in an example saying that sometimes we then tend to find more so than ever the example of moral belief, which would be the religious part of it. White wedding in a white church, and not a white church, but white wedding in a big nice church. So that's also could be a moral belief, right? Because we grow up in that as well. We grew up either within that religion or in that particular belief. So that's the next step. And there's nothing wrong with beliefs. Beliefs, I think, are what shapes us in life as human beings. I'm going somewhere with this. And so let's give another example of a belief. We've done like a belief that has lasted most around the world. That is an example of a societal belief. And cross over to moral belief as well. So now let's go to more concepts of belief. And I call them concepts because as human beings, we create concepts among ourselves. They tend to stay, they're traditions and so forth and so forth and so forth, right? And become beliefs. Beliefs are convictions to your heart. So this is where I'm going with that. So we go to our personal beliefs. I could sit up here and believe that every time it snows, every single time it snows more than an inch of snow on the ground, then I don't know. Every time it snows more than an inch of ground, my day is going to be amazing. Let's just say that. That's my belief, my personal belief, right? So I could wake up every morning in the wintertime, and every time I see more than an inch of snow, my heart, everything is just in alignment with that intentionality and manifestation. That every time I see more than 1 inch of snow, it's going to be an awesome day. Because now I have turned that belief into that conviction in my heart. That belief is conviction. So now I really believe it every time that I have an amazing day. It's always in the wintertime. It's always when there's more than an inch of snow on the ground. It's now become my thing, my personal belief, my personal conviction. But my personal conviction does not have any facts to it, right? It doesn't have any study behind it. It doesn't have like an experiment behind it, like 5 candidates that woke up and there was more than an inch of snow on the ground, then found that they had an amazing, awesome day, versus to the 4 that woke up with with 0 inches on the ground, blah, 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 blah. You get the point, right? It's just my personal belief. So now that we've dissected beliefs and the belief system and the concepts of life, once again, I go back to the question, what if somebody told you, what if I told you, but what if somebody told you that everything you believe was a lie? What about not everything you believe? What if someone told you that something you believe is a lie? I'm not saying it is. It was just a question. How would you handle your life from that point on? Where am I going with this? Well, I had to start off with the belief part to just make it known that sometimes our minds, our hearts do get caught up in systems. Sometimes, you find yourself doing something that, like, let's say I'll find the example. Let me just always put myself as an example. I'll find myself doing something, let's say, that my mother always did. Always hand wash the kitchen towels and hang them dry, but you have a whole washer and dryer and everything like that. Why do you always do that? Well, my mom always say that's the way to make sure that they have, life, they don't fray or whatever the case is. It's a belief. It's a belief. Does it have facts behind it? No. It's an environmental belief. I grew up seeing it. So and I'm saying this message to you to say, do not be afraid to question everything with a question, even the things you thought you believed, because at the end of the day, as a conscious being, your internal compass will go when it starts to sense things are awry. Mhm. And what I mean is, we live in a society where deception is common. Let me be nice. Where deception is common. I've always been the biggest proponent. Let me give you a far long shot example. I've always been the biggest proponent to saying, don't believe everything you see on social media. I've always been the biggest. I told my sisters that because they'll call me. Oh, did you see this? Oh my gosh, did you see this? And I'm like, how many minutes is that video? Huh? How many minutes is the video? Why? No, how many minutes is it? It's 3 minutes. So you are all riled up, upset, angry over a 3-minute video that you don't even know if it's true or not. Do you understand? Okay. But anyway, so and so that's this is my example with my sisters, right? Do not believe everything you see. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Okay. And now I'm not talking about like in your relationships or, in your personal life. I'm talking about things that are digitalized to us. Things that are digitalized to us. Social media, your outlets and so forth. Don't. And here's the thing. Here goes my motto. Question everything with a question. Remember your internal compass? You will watch something. Something with no base. Something with no source. But because for generations or years we've been programmed or been taught to believe the source, then we believe it. And that's why I always hate. I've told you all how I feel about social media for the longest time. There's nothing wrong with it. You can have a lot of, fun laughs here and there and, entertain yourself. But the realms of, you remember your eye to spirit to soul connection. Don't lose that, connection, because what happens is so many times the things that we think we see are not the things that are really happening. And I'm not trying to be like weird about stuff, but what I'm not trying to do is like scare anyone into hysteria or freak anyone out. I'm just wanting to heed this message because your eyes are going to be eventually exposed to things that you have to question. Matter of fact, these things that we as a people for a while should have been questioning. Right? Let's just be honest. Should have been questioning. And even if we're not verbally questioning it, though, your internal compass has been telling you, no, I don't think so. That's a lie. That can't be true. Is it? But why? That's why I say question everything with a question, because just like the example I gave you with my sister in social media, when they call me up and just up in arms over a 2-minute video, 5-minute video that shows one narration. We don't know what happened before the video started playing. We don't know what happened after the video started playing. We don't know if these are paid actors and actresses. But now your emotions as a conscious community, remember that. We got to guard our emotions. That's what's at stake, our energy. Okay? Now you're up in arms, angry, because you like my sister, you've watched a 3-minute, 5-minute video of negativity that you don't know where it stemmed from, but it looks like that's what happened. And so now people are angry, all up on social media, just bickering at each other, just negative energy being tossed from strangers. This is what I've always found fascinating about social media. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I try to do the Twitter thing, but I think I suck at Twitter because I'm always like, how do you like tweet? And then I'm like, trying to figure it out. But At the same time, though, I was there, right, with like when I got my little Twitter account, probably in 2010 or 11, and then it was like, okay, so the first it was really confusing, and then but it's like you can easily find yourself being a troll. I know at that time I was like, okay, back up off of Twitter, back up off of that too, and only because you find yourself engaging, and it just does something to your soul. Like, all of a sudden you're like, that's not me. Off of something that we don't even know if it's real. Like, honestly, and here's the concept, right? I mean, not concept, but here's the thing. What if I told you that everything you think is real is not real? What if I told you that? And I'm not talking about your personal life. I'm talking about in the digital world. Let's talk about, today we're talking about everything that has been put in our laps: tablet, iPad, iPhone, a Galaxy, every digital tool that you have at your disposal that allows you to see the interactions of the world. What if I say most of those things are not true? I'm not saying they're not. I'm just asking a question. If those things are not true, then who is behind them? My question's always, I always, like when my sisters will call me up with the, oh my gosh, did you see this? Oh, did you see the video I sent you? Did you see it? And most times I just dread to click on them. I'm like, yeah, what's up? What happened? What do you mean what happened? Didn't you see what happened? I'm like, yeah, but who took the video? And what's the agenda? What's the propaganda behind this? What are we doing? Like, what's the result? What's the solution? Right? Haven't you guys ever wondered on some videos that you watch, like, okay, wait, who's taking this whole video? Like, let's say it's people fighting or something. And you're like, and I know we now live in a world where it's easier to pull up your phone instead of help other people. But I understand that too. To me, I'm like, okay, who's recording this? Like, who, in the same concept and breath that we live in a world where we have to question everything digitally that our eyes are exposed to, because our eyes are connected to our spirit and our soul and our heart, then that's the mouth. Your eyes are the mouth, right? Just like you would feed your mouth food for your body to digest and all the nutrients and all that good stuff. We also want to be careful of the toxic stuff that we expose ourselves. And when at the top of the conversation about belief, we also want to probably question the things that we then take into belief and conviction, right? At the disposal of what we would have been exposed to. There's nothing wrong with personal beliefs and environmental beliefs, societal beliefs, and all those great concepts and so forth, and the convictions that you have that drive your passion. There's nothing wrong with that. But forming beliefs and convictions based on something that has been digitally presented to you can be a little bit risque, because it can open up a set of feelings, right? And I'm not saying that, obviously, let's say the cute little commercials, right? Of, let's say the infomercials of $1 a day can help this puppy or whatever, SPCA or something like that. Okay. If that's your passion, that's your cause, that's your belief, go for it, right? That's an infomercial. This is where the conscious/awareness comes, right? Also known as discernment, right? Also known as being led in the spirit, also known as the spirit man, or the God in you, or whatever it is, the higher self, right? Will resonate and will lead you. Just say, open my eyes to see the things that are real from the things that are not real, so that my emotions are not easily manipulated and my negative emotions harvested for bad. Okay, because like I said at the top of this conversation, I gingerly say we are living in a literal good and evil type of world. Okay, I know it's as cliche as it sounds, but understand when I say good and evil. Let's take the you can't see my hands, but we split up, right? We got my right hand, got my left hand. Okay, right hand here, we have the truth that in your heart is the truth. You know that. On my left hand here, you have the deception, the lies, the manipulation that you know is questionable. Okay. In this journey to true self, we talked at the top of the month there about honoring ourselves with things that, honoring ourselves, being honest with ourselves enough to let go of things that no longer serve us, right? The things that also no longer or should not serve us are the things that create us to be dishonest with ourselves. Where am I going with all of this? Well, where I'm going with all of this is just an urgent message to caution everyone on everything they see. Okay. Question everything with a question. We live in an era of knowledge. Google is your friend. Bing, Yahoo, whoever you use is your friend. Do your own research. Do not, one thing they towards the end of last year, where this thing started stemming, this whole entire message, I was like, one of the things that I was going to challenge myself for 2021 as well was that I will not speak in third party. Okay. What is third party? Third party is when you're having a conversation with a bunch of people, and my best friend told me that she saw it on Channel 20 that they're having dresses half off. I don't know. Weird example, right? And I'm in a group of people and these women are talking about, well, what can we get cute dresses? Oh, yeah, no. If you go to so-and-so, they got dresses half off. I haven't researched that information. I don't know. I'm not saying my best friend is a liar, but so oftentimes what I've realized is I'm guilty too, right? That's why I'm challenging myself to no longer discussing third party. Here's the thing. You could talk third party conversations, but third party conversations that are serious should not just be presented, because what I've noticed is the passion, anger, and the things that excite people, whether it be social media, whether it be digital wise, the TVs and whatever, when people are having adult conversations, it's third-party information that convicts their belief. I'm like, wait a minute, did you research that? That's what you found? Or you just regurgitating information that's been spoon-fed to you? Understand that. That's what the difference is, right? We live in an era of knowledge. Remember the left hand, the right hand. Okay, in your right hand, you have all the truth at your disposal. Browsers, whatever you need to find out when it comes to crucial information. However, sometimes it's easier to be on the left hand, where people will spoon feed you a narrative that has been spoon fed to you all most of your life. Okay, and so of course, all this got to be true. Why would they? What's the reason for lying or deceiving or being deceptive? See, I only wanted to tell you this message because my revelation into what I thought I believed was not pretty. Yes, shock set in, denial set in, and I started to question all these systems, all these things that oh my gosh, I was raised this way, and oh my gosh, and it's like this is what was fundamentally put before me, and it's been a strong conviction, a belief, and I asked myself, why has it been a belief? I had no answer. That blew my mind wide open. Well, I did because that's what my parents also believed. But when I searched down deep inside myself during my awakening process, I was like, oh my gosh, I was in denial. I was in shock because now I'm prying away because I'm adulting, okay? During the awakening process, I'm yanking out. This is also what I started. This was when I was like 35, when it hit me really hard, okay? Life itself, because it's like my whole entire life came into crumbles, finding out that I'd been lied to, manipulated, and that just really opened up my eyes some more, and not just my eyeballs but my spiritual eyes. I started to realize, oh my gosh, these were concepts and systems and beliefs that no longer aligned with me, and that I could and that's when I also understood that a belief is a conviction. That's all it is. It's a conviction. It's a conviction. It's because it's just because we do it. It's like it's almost like a tradition. And there's nothing wrong with that, because beliefs, remember, are what molds us. Now, remember, I said the dangers of having convictions of third parties, or things that you don't understand why you believe in them, or whatever the case is. Then the dangers of that is just that it can agitate, pull out emotions out of you, just like my sisters. It's a perfect example. They do that all the time. Oh, did you see that video? And they when they send me the video, call me 2 minutes later, to make sure I seen the video, because now they're angry. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And it's just like all this anger and emotion. But I'm like, why are you angry at something you don't even know what happened? Like, you understand what I'm saying? I can only keep going back to that video because it's an example of, when we have been trained to believe we see a certain video with certain people in it, then it obviously means this. Therefore, that way, when every time you see a video like that, you think that that's the injustice. Is it? Is it the injustice? It's an injustice because we've been trained to see. And when I say trained, programmed by digitalization, the era of digitalization. Everything, TVs and our digital apps have trained us in society to say, if you see this happening, it's an injustice. But what does your moral compass tell you? Remember that. I said, remember, your compass will tell you, because that's what I told my sisters before. I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's like this. I don't even know if there's a video, but I just want to give you a quick example. A lady gets tackled. Just like an example. I don't know. Example. A lady's walking out of Walmart, right? Gets tackled by, I don't know, police maybe, or security. I don't know. Because, when you're stealing, they got to let you walk out the door. So the lady gets tackled by Walmart security, police, whoever, but because she stole from the store, right? But whoever rolled the camera, they started recording from when she gets tackled. And perhaps this person didn't mean to tackle the lady, and they maybe, listen, I'm giving you an example. I don't know. This has got nothing to do with what I haven't seen this. It's just an example. But what I'm saying is, maybe perhaps right when she walked out and the security was walking behind her, maybe they tried to grab her attention. Ma'am, stop. Maybe she didn't want to stop, right? And so, I don't know, maybe they use a little force to get her attention and they tackle her. Is tackling her the best way to do it? Obviously not. Being aggressive is never the best option. But when somebody starts snapping a video recording of her being tackled, it takes away from the truth. Okay? Because what happens is, understand what I'm saying. What happens is then everywhere else, digital world, and everybody, news, even the news channel, oh yes, they run with it. The 3-second video, the 2-minute video. Lady was shopping at Walmart and was tackled by a big burly security guard. Oh, the outrage. Oh, the mobilization, the protest, the anger, which is never great energy, ensues. And then you let time pass. When the real truth comes out, Walmart releases the videos. This lady then has a big purse, stole $50, $100 worth of merchandise. I don't know, maybe stole even a gaming system. I have no idea. Nobody wants to correct that. No one wants to correct that. But we have been fed lies and deception. That's why I'm telling you, be careful of what you see. We're living in an era where there's lies, deception, on purpose to harvest dark, negative energy. So you're sitting back like, oh, who's got time to do that? Why would I want to harvest dark, negative? Trust me, in the battle between good and evil always, the vibration of evil is always negative, right? Vibrating really low. The evil doers, evil people, the vibration is really low. They harvest. Oh, yes. That's why when you want change, I'm always taken back by a powerful moment. I love movies. Get what you can from movies, subliminal messages, But I'm talking about just when I say question digitalization, I'm talking about the people that are feeding us information and stuff like that, and the stuff that we see that arouses our emotions, because we're supposed to protect our emotions. But remember the scene in Avatar, if you've ever watched Avatar, the movie, where what do they call it? What is it? Spoiler alert, ding, 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 ding. But like, I forget the characters in there. Man, Avatar needs some work on Avatar Part 2. Come on now. But the part, I believe it's the doctor lady, towards the end, right? And the tree, I'm thinking the tree of life. I forgot the name of the tree, but like the tree was the source. And everyone was around. Remember their what they did? Prayer meditation. What were they called? The Avatarians? I don't know. But they gathered around that tree, right? And they just bounced, rocked back and forth or sideways. I have to watch it again. But there's so much energy there, right? There's more energy with positive, high vibrations. Trust and believe. And that's why we're here as a conscious community, to tap into that. The more people realize the power that you have collectively, consciously, individually, then you will realize why consciousness and being / consciousness and awareness is also a threat, right? But that's a whole nother podcast. But listen, so what I'm trying to say, a whole nother podcast, but what I'm trying to caution you all is, don't get into the minutia. I call it psychological warfare, but y'all call it whatever you want to say. Only because it's gauging warfare on the mind. But you all are being warned. Just take each and everything with a grain of salt. Don't be like my sister, easily offended, or your energy easily manipulated by a 5-minute clip or by sources that you think should be telling you the truth, but they're not. Because we leave the battle of good and evil. Evil ones carry us destruction, division, continually, wars, famine, poverty, right? The battle of good. We all are the same. Every one of us. You got eyeballs, you got a nose, mouth, teeth, ears, legs, arms, skin. We're all the same. That's the reality of it. But if we all knew that every single one of us are the same, all of us, I don't care what color you are, we're all the same. If we all knew that collectively as a species in the world, oh, talk about power. But in order for some of these systems to die off, the strongly held evil system, how else do you do division? How else do you do it? Subjecting it in the mind. But how do you subject it in the mind, though? By presenting it on what people see. Of course, people are not going to question that. That's what they say, right? In the big boardrooms, they shrug their shoulders and rock back and forth with those evil Knievel laughter. Of course, they're not going to question it. Just throw it out there, of course. But when my reality started setting off, and I've mentioned to you all, I'm not into watching a lot of this. I watch a show, I watch a movie in a heartbeat, but I'm not being fed. I'm not doing that other stuff. But and the reason was because when I started to watch the patterns of some of the information that's fed to us. And then you would read or find out information and be like, this is kind of similar. How come they put a bigger light on this issue than they do on this issue? And then you start to realize, oh my gosh. So at the top of this podcast, like I say, the emphasis and probably the main point of this is for you all in this time and period that we are endeavoring to go. Yes, it's going to be a shock for some, and some that are aware are going to be like, well, I saw that coming. Question everything with a question. Question everything you see in the digital world with a question. Some people on social media don't even know. I know people are like, what? I'm just saying. This is what I always advise, because I tell my sisters that and they don't like it. But I'm like, because we live in such a knowledge-based era, you can literally like search these documents, whether it's through the government websites or whatever the case is. But the use of bots in on social media. So here are people with convictions and beliefs. This Walmart lady, remember now what the narrative becomes. Remember our example, right? Did she deserve to be tackled? No, she didn't, right? But why was she stealing though? Does she deserve due process? Yes. So she does, and then they won't film her getting arrested, being put in the back of the cop car, and at the moment of this incitement, they won't tell you what happened. It's just that 3-minute clip where this big burly guy leaps up on her like a gazelle, like a cheetah to a gazelle, and then everyone's uproared on social media and everywhere else where they show this information. Remember what I said, and then when the truth comes out, nobody wants to correct it, right? No one wants to say, oh, okay. Like I say, she didn't deserve to be tackled. But the truth of the matter is you wouldn't be getting tackled if you were not stealing. And then maybe they try to get her attention. Is it protocol? I don't know. Maybe it's their job protocol for them to do that. I don't know. I don't work security. I have no idea. But these are the questions that I'm asking everyone that's listening to this, to always question when you see something like that. What happened? What happened? Did she deserve to be tackled? What does your human moral compass say? No, she did not deserve to be tackled. But I want to know what else happened. What happened? As a society, I feel that sometimes, and I'm not talking about y'all are woke, but as a society, I feel like sometimes we are now really just sitting back and being spoon-fed bull crap. I said it, bull crap. Like we sit up here and we eat it up. We eat it up and we get angry. And when we get angry, we go out here and we do all kinds of things. And some people don't even know that in some of these activities you're involved in, you're involved with people that are doing, they're there for a certain purpose, but that's for another podcast too. You all know, you understand. That's what, because you gotta see this. You gotta watch and open your eyes, your spiritual eyes and your ears, and ask these questions. Do people not die every day? Question mark. Do they not die every day? Question mark. Where's the anger and wrath? Question mark. For those that die every day? Question mark. Google it. Research it. People die every day. Wrongfully shot, whatever it is. But what makes a difference from what you see here on every day from what the media decides to portray or social media? Question mark. This is not about just the clips we see. No, it's no longer about that. Our livelihood is at stake. Okay, our livelihood, our society is at stake here. If we're not questioning what is being put before us, asking further questions about the source. So here's the thing. If you do have Netflix, I propose you watch, I think it's called, what is it? A Manhunt? What is it called? A Manhunt. I think it's a Manhunt. You don't even have to go that far. I believe it's a Manhunt. I'll tell you what it's about. But you don't even have to go that far. You can also watch on Netflix, somewhere in the archives, they have how media, I think it's how media, something about media, how media not changed our lives, but how media is something. And it's like this episodic show that shows you how the involvement of media changed the narrative. It's been happening for decades. And then go watch The Manhunt. I think it's a Manhunt, right? It's about the security guy, ironically. It's about the security guy in Georgia, right? Who first was hailed as a hero. And then he became a villain. But who changed that narrative? You guys, I know you all are the conscious woke community. Don't fall for the guys. Don't fall for the guys. Remember what his story is. Remember, they set these things in front of us. It's his story, right? He who controls the narrative controls the emotion. Refuse for your emotions to be tangled, jangled, whatever, harvested. Just refuse. Just look, honor yourself by knowing what's true and what's not. It's okay if you watch the clip of the Walmart lady analogy or example and feel like how I would probably feel, which is always like, well, what happened? I need to see the whole thing and be like, here, my head would turn, well, she didn't deserve to get tackled like that, but what happened? And then weeks later, when it comes out, and usually when it comes out, it's not publicized like how they would have publicized and made the lady the victim. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? That's why my urgency is for us, and even those that you love, whoever it is, to understand that we need to question everything with a question. Everything that we are being shown, we need to question everything with a question. Okay? We cannot afford to have our feelings manipulated in such a grandiose way that we are not using our moral compass. I've seen so many things in my life. Probably you all have as well, because guess who likes to send and forward these videos to me? And then it's like the public outcry and so forth. And then when things are being going through the right channels, it's like silence, crickets in the background. What is the agenda? As the question you got to ask. I understand that our beliefs have taught us ever since we were young, especially I was, that the weatherman is always right. Just kidding, just a joke. But so I mean, it's easy to like see things and be like, okay, and hear the narrative. But for me, there's things that haven't added up, and that's when you tap into that, right? Your compass is like, something doesn't seem right about this. It just doesn't, Do I believe in a man tackling a woman being right? No. My moral compass is like, that's not right. She shouldn't have gone down like that. That's not right. I say stuff like that. That doesn't sit well with my heart. But then when you realize there's a bigger story to the 3-minute video, then you realize, oh my God. And then I just save my energy because I'm not getting all like angry and just, angry, getting emotionally manipulated by what's being said versus what is true. You all have the power to know the truth. It's in your hand. Google is your best friend. Okay? There's things that your internal compass will dial into you and tell you this does not seem right at all. Tap into that. Tap into that. We are defining here in this Dream Zone Interpretation podcast and our Saturday Spiritual Sweet Spots the journey of true self, things that honor us as human beings, being true to ourselves. Okay, let's not get caught in the minutia of falsehoods, things that seem like they're a certain way, and yet we know deep down in our heart, she shouldn't have been stealing, right? When I've been honest, I'm like, she shouldn't have been stealing. What were you doing stealing? And her stealing does not justify her being tackled, but you shouldn't have been stealing. You would have been arrested, is my point, right? So there's no need for me to get angry from a 3-minute video once you find out 3 weeks later, and most times you do your own research because you're like, Walmart, woman tackled, whatever town, and then Google pull up a follow-up article and let you know, oh, here's the whole entire story. Here's what happened, So the whole entire thing of belief and the urgent message is, as part of our evolutions as a human species, also understanding that beliefs can be conformed, can be flexible, right? Stepping back and being open-minded and seeing what's around you is part of the human evolution. That's what helps us to grow as a people. My urgent message for you today is to just question everything with a question. If you are a person that enjoys watching everything in the digital world, that is okay. But understand that now your due diligence to your heart, your soul, and your spirit is to just question everything with a question in your heart. Will always tell you as well if this is some bogus stuff or this doesn't add up. All right. And most times, unless we also lean to our moral beliefs, right, of things, because there are things that will happen or be said digitally that don't sit well with you morally. Go with that flow. That's your moral belief, right? Let's think of something outrageous. Let's think of something outrageous that won't get us all locked up. Let's see, something that will go against our morals. Let's say, okay, these are all examples. So, like, you're watching a digital program, whatever it is. The new law has passed that now you could have one murder strike. You could murder a person and no consequences. That doesn't sit right with me morally. That does not sit right with me morally. So I'm not going to sit up here and digest that information. That's why I'm like, question everything with a question like, wait a minute, what do you mean? So now I'm going to go try to figure out what are they talking about. This doesn't sound right. It doesn't smell right, doesn't seem right. This just sounds like mayhem. Not going along with the flow of everything being said and told to you. Even if you think the source is reliable with no receipts. All right? Receipts could be manufactured too. But, that's an example of sometimes your moral beliefs can also help you navigate through this digital world, because we're living in a very unique time. Once again, I said every generation has its, when I was younger. But what I'm saying is we are the digital age. And if you do your research, it's easy for me to sit up here and just open my mouth and tell you everything. But I don't want to shock those that are not ready to see it. You could do your own research. Find out on a lot of the digital programs that have been implemented, whether it's the government, by some of these outlets. The crazy thing is this information is out there. So I'm not going to sit up here spoon feed, because that's what we're talking against, right? You hear it, take what I told you with a grain of salt, just heating in an urgent manner for us to do our own, question everything with a question, all right? Understanding the emphasis of the digital world, what's possible, listening to experts that have worked behind the scenes of social media, digital world, and creating chaos and discord on social media. Those experts that were hired to do that, it's out there. You just look for it. It's official information that is out there. It'll blow your mind, but it's something that probably led me. I remember I told y'all before, if you've listened to me before or not, but my relationship with social media, my relationship with social media is kind of complicated, but I might have a social media account here and there, but I do not engage. I do not engage. So at the end of the day, some people get so upset and go back and forth. At the end of the day, you might be even engaging with a bot, but that's for another whole podcast. But it's all another podcast, guys. Information. We live in the information era. It's out there. It's not hidden. Everything is in plain sight. You just got to go fish for it. And that's part of the process. It's part of the process of self-development. If you feel that this doesn't sound right morally, there's been laws that have been passed, which still, I had this conversation with my mother, because laws that have been passed that went against her moral beliefs and before. So, and I'd ask them, like, did you know that this bill that they signed had this and this and this and this? And she's just like, oh, well, and I'm not saying that we all sit up here and read bills, like, nobody's got time for that unless you're in quarantine. But I'm just saying, it's like when it's presented to us, it just seems really sometimes good. Question everything with a question. Okay. The power of deception is that it's deceptive. What seems like should be is not sometimes, especially in the era of digitalization. The reason why I call this a unique time is because there was no digitalization era in 1920, 1950, right? But we are the generation, whether it's Z, millennial, X, boomers, and above. We're all here in this digital era, where there's so much powerful things that could be done digitally, especially in the terms of mind manipulation. Okay. I love you guys that much. This message was intended before the year 2020 ended, only because I know 2020 was rough, but 2020 was a year of revelation, right? And 2021, not to scare anyone, is a slight continuation of exposure. So that's why I really needed to tell this message, because whatever you get exposed to that will be exposed, you got to question it with a question. Question it with a question. Okay? Do your own research. Find out what's going on. Because, as I stated before, right and left hand is two groups, right? There are people out here, some people, that are aware and conscious of the truth. And then there's some that it's not their fault. You know, they fall in the guise of easily being being manipulated or deceived, I should say, because of the sources they relate to. Just because they tell you one thing, is it really the truth? What if I told you that? What if I told you what they have told you is not the truth? And that when the truth comes out, it will shock and rock the people that believed in the sources they watched and or believed in. Remember, believed in. What is the truth? What is the truth? What is the truth of the matter? What is the truth of the matter? I love you guys so much. It's been an hour. But remember, question everything with a question. What if I told you everything you believed in digitally? Not your personal life, but everything you believed in the digital world. What if I told you that there's lies there? What if I told you about the biggest lies? Would you believe that? Would you understand that? How would you react? What is the biggest lie told to humanity so far? What is the biggest lie told to humanity so far? Who's lying to us? Why are they lying to us? What is the lie? What is the deception? What is the battle between good and evil? Why do you believe what you believe? What is the truth of the matter? What does your heart tell you of the truth of the matter? Will the truth set people free or set them in shock? What has been the biggest lie? Life is happening right now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but today. Seize the moment to enjoy each day while en route to your intended destiny. A quote by Memory Ben-Gessemer. If no one has told you this today, I love you. I appreciate you. And yes, we can do this thing called life.